Good evening. Here is top news newsletter, starting with the headlines. Syrian army destroys 400 mil tunnel in Aleppo, kills 24 ISIS members in Homs. Russia curbs statements about training moderate position in Syria shows futility of US-led coalition. UN says the Yemen parties agree on transitional council. The army destroys dens of terrorists and killed scores of them in Douma farms and Al-Qalman mountain in Damascus countryside. The army directed heavy strikes against dens of terrorists and destroyed their weapons in the surrounding of Douma. In Erbil town, the army carried out special operations against one of the terrorist dens and killed several terrorists in clash in Harasta. Units of the army and armed forces also killed a number of vehicles with all terrorists on board in Al-Qalman mountain in Damascus countryside. The army killed a number of terrorists in Al-Bajajija neighborhood in Dar al-Balad, and also killed a number of terrorists and injured several others in Sheikh Miskin and Kafr in Dar'a countryside. Earlier, a unit of the army destroyed a terrorist hideout, killing all those inside it, in Kafr Nasij in the southern Dar'a province. Units of the army and armed forces launched strikes against several dens of terrorist organizations in Abu Zuhur and the surrounding villages of Al-Hamidiyya and Jorin and Tel Salmo in the countryside of northern Idlib province. The operations in those areas resulted in killing many of the terrorist organization's members, in addition to destroying several of their vehicles and weapons. It added, the army also destroyed dens of terrorists in Kafr Nasij and Jabal al-Arba'in in Idlib countryside, killing many of them. The army continued operations cracking down hard on terrorists in the southern province of Al-Qunaitira, with an army unit destroying several vehicles for them at the roundabout of Tel al-Harra. Russian Foreign Minister affirmed that statement of John Kirby, Pentagon press security about a U.S. decision to training members of the so-called Syrian moderate oppositions show the futility of the anti-ISIS coalition led by Washington. The United States has handpicked as many as 1,000 terrorists from what is called moderate opposition in Syria to participate in the training program that was prepared and coordinated with its allies to train terrorists who are pushed its agenda in the region. Russian Foreign Minister spokesman Alexander Lukashenko said in a press conference that the ineffectiveness of the anti-terrorism coalition lies in the fact that its formation went over the head of the UN Security Council and hadn't heeded international law, not to mention that the Syrian government didn't take part in it. For those reasons, our stance in this regard remains the same. We believe in the effectiveness of combating this terrorist threat, which is expanding on all regions. It must be based on the full observance of international law and the agreements reached by the governments of these countries, as Lukashenko said. Yemen's parties agreed on a People's Transitional Council to help govern the country and guide it out of political crisis, UN mediator Jamal bin Omar announced. This program isn't a final agreement, but an important breakthrough that paves the way toward a comprehensive agreement, as he said. As a part of the new formula, Yemen's all 301 members of House of Representatives, made up overwhelmingly of prime ministers from the former ruling party thought to be sympathetic to the Houthis, will stay in place. Instead of the traditional upper house, a new transitional council whose members weren't specified will consist of traditionally unrepresented sectors among Yemen's formerly independent south, women and young people. Arrangements for a vacated presidency and minister along with security required further dialogue, bin Omar added. There was no immediate comment by the Ansarullah movement or the two other Islamist and socialist opposition parties. Yemen has remained in a state of turmoil since a popular uprising in 2011 led to the ouster of ex-President Ali Abdullah Saleh 1 year later. Regional powerhouse Saudi Arabia, along with the United States, have both closed their embassies in Sana'a and fear the political vacuum may empower Al-Qaeda's affiliated in Yemen and even fuel a full-blown sectarian civil war. Al-Qaeda terrorist organization is deployed in Yemen's South province, where its gunmen plot for terrorist attacks against civilians and officials. The powerful group issued the constitutional declaration in a bid to avoid the power vacuum in the country following the resignation of President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi and his prime minister. A pro-democracy Bahraini protester died after a month of coma because of the inhalation of poisonous gases shot by Al-Khalifa regime forces. Sayyid Muhammad Khadim was announced dead Friday after a month in hospital. Khadim slipped into a coma after he was poisoned by tear gas in a demonstration early January in the capital of the city of Al-Manama. The death of Khadim brings the total number of people killed by government forces over 4 years of peaceful protesters in Arab country to at least 90. Bahraini government's use of tear gas has been described by many activities as excessive, with many people falling victim to the deadly canister used by regime security forces to quell demonstrations. Activists and human rights groups say the government's use of tear gas is mostly in discrimination with the police forces in some cases, encircling protesters and making them inhale the poisonous gas. Dutch military experts have confirmed there is no military activity in Russia's Rostov region bordering Ukraine. The head of the Russian Defense Minister's International Treaties Implementation Department said the inspection carried out between February 17 and 20 wasn't only done on the ground, but in the air, and focused on the area that Ukraine specialist has chosen for inspection earlier. The inspections are held in accordance with the 2011 Vienna documents, which stipulate measures of confidence building and security. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Inas Ahmad. Good night.